Who better to take us through this metaverse than Vishal Shah, GM of XR and Metaverse at Lenovo? So may I have Vishal on stage? Vishal, do join us. Rajan Vagadia, VP and President for Qualcomm India and SARC. Rajan, I said it's all superstars joining us now. Come.
You are my audience, and like I said, I thrive on energy, and so does Rajiv. We must give them a round of applause.
Hello. Then we've got the CIO, we've got Rucha Nanavati, the CIO at Mahindra Group. Great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Rajesh Uppal, Executive Director and CIO at Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Great to have you here. Please. And the moderator is Leslie De Monte, Executive Editor at Mint. Leslie, good to have you. As always, the color blocking is looking great here, Leslie.
I realize conversations are better.
Good to have you, Leslie. Great to have you. Come, all yours. So take it away, the metaverse.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Lovely. I think when I was thinking of how to set the context for the metaverse panel, one thing that I had not bargained for was Rajiv giving the intro. So I thought, here's this man who's going to talk a lot more about the metaverse, and what is he going to leave me with? But thank you, Rajiv. Oh, yes, yes. So, typically, whenever there's any talk of the metaverse, I get two kinds of conversations happening. One is the metaverse dying? The second is, how exciting is the metaverse? Now, when I get these two kinds of reactions, what I typically tell people is, do you know how old these technologies are? So you look at some of the underlying technologies that the metaverse has. First, of course, is if you look at virtual reality. If I'm not mistaken, it was Morton Hellig, way back in the 1950s. Then you had Ivan Sutherland, who used to talk about augmented reality and virtual reality. That was somewhere in the 1960s, 1968 or so. That was, I think, the first AR/VR headset. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think the other one was some pretty interesting names that we had. Then again, if you have, when you talk about Neil Stephenson, who coined the term metaverse, that was Snow Crash, which I think many of you started, talking about. The whole buzz around the metaverse started building up. Then, how many of you in the audience remember a game called Second Life? I see a few hands raised up. Okay. You remember Linden Labs? The Linden dollars? Lovely. So I do see a few hands up. So that was also your entire, what would we call it, the beginnings of the metaverse, probably a little too early, too ahead of its time. But as the technologies have matured over a period of time, we have realized that today, when we talk about the metaverse, it's very much there. A lot is happening, both in the consumer space and more importantly, in the enterprise space. So like, if you from the consumer space, I think things that have been driving, I think Daler Mehndi, who all of you all have heard, bought land in Decentraland. Then you have, we all say marriages are made in heaven, but many marriages are now being made in the metaverse also, and we have seen some of them. Then we have also seen a lot of action happening in the space of conglomerates. So companies and conglomerates, we have two of them out here. You have Maruti Suzuki, then you have the Mahindra Group, and of course, you have Reliance Industries, you have Hiranandani Group, you name a company, and I think most of the companies would have in some form or the other dabbled with the metaverse. Whether they fully understand the concept, whether the business models have been developed or not, that's a different issue altogether. But then, it also brings us that there are some challenges associated with the metaverse. One of them, of course, being the whole question of, I think Rajiv had touched on this, on the torsos, on the real me and you me. You see that even some of the torsos by Metas especially are half kind of things, which are a little disturbing to some of the people. Yes, but I'm sure we'll have Vishal talk about that in a bit. Then we have the question of interoperability, which is a very important thing as far as the metaverse is concerned. How interoperable and how uniform are metaverses in this world. The third part would be the cost of VR headsets, the entire ecosystems out there. The costs are falling, but they have to reach a point where they become as popular as smartphones. Then, of course, you can also talk a little about this whole thing of how exactly, what happens when we get into the metaverse? Where does the real and the unreal meet, match, and separate? How much of the real me is there and how much of the unreal me is there? But those are more on the philosophical things and less on technology. So now, without any ado, since our panelists are out here, the format of we are not calling it a panel discussion, we are calling it more of a tech talk. The reason being that in the opening sessions, we have 3 panelists here who will also be giving proof of the pudding lies in the eating, that's what they say. So there'll be a 1 to 2 minute kind of video presentation to showcase how the metaverse works. Rajesh, let's start with you. Whenever we talk about the metaverse, I mean, one of the sectors that we lends itself very easily to the metaverse, if I must say, is the automobile sector. I know that you showcased a lot of stuff during the Auto Expo also 2023. You had done it 2 years back also. You had, I mean, some of your cars, you have displayed them in the metaverse. What has the experience been, and what is the kind of opportunity that you see in the metaverse?
Okay, thanks, Leslie. Metaverse, I think for us, the whole area where we're looking at in the company is three focused area for us. Start with marketing and sales, a customer experience on metaverse. Second is all about training and development within the organization, both at internally in the company and at dealership at large. And third important area is also employee experience and one more this and that. Oh, sorry, I'm just forgetting.
It's okay.
Okay. So the first step always was to customer experience and work on that. That's where the whole, our own brand came up as Nexaverse. Now, in the last launch when we started, we said, okay, let's start with though we track customer at offline, online, and the whole connect between the offline customer versus online customer with the offline when he comes, we recognize him, what he has been doing and all from our single view of customer. But giving him an experience of 360 of buying a car in the metaverse was the whole focus where we worked on. So we started small with a Nexaverse with a basic, maybe product visualization, but really build up to a maybe interactive and avatar-based conversation with him so that he can mold and reply and converse with you on the metaverse to give you answers, is the sum we have achieved till now, right now. And maybe in a video, we'll give you some feel of that, what I've been doing on that. But the whole idea is toward end-to-end buying cycle can be managed on that, including configuration, including, maybe payment to be made on that and all, is the whole focus which we are working on, frankly. So create that opportunity to really, for customer, so that the experience today is buying is all about experience and how much you know the customer and you can serve his particular need about him. So are you really prepare yourself through the metaverse to do that is the whole focus where we are working on. Parallelly, pilots on training and other areas in the company is important we are working on, and that also will come very soon onto the landscape to work on. So maybe I can give you a 1-minute video to just show you how does this work and how does it converse with the customer interactively as the customer speak to the metaverse and then get replies from the system real time. Maybe can I have a video on this?
Hi, I am Dave. I am here to help you learn more about Vitara Brezza. Here is our LXI model.
Which variant has alloy wheels?
Great choice. You're looking for the ZXi Plus with automatic gear. It comes with these precision cut alloy wheels, automatic ORVMs and automatic rain sensing wipers. Would you like me to take you on a test drive?
Okay.
Here we have all black spacious interiors. If you prefer leather, it's easily upgradable with our genuine accessories. My favorite part about the interiors is the leather-wrapped steering wheel and the multi-colored speedometer. Now let me fasten my seatbelt because this one has a powerful and zippy 1.5-liter engine.
Can I pair my phone to this music system?
Of course, you can pair your Android or iOS through Bluetooth. This model variant has these tweeter speakers. This also has navigation and a call assistant that comes with a reverse parking camera. You can of course control all these features from your phone and track your vehicle always.
What's different about the automatic gear? Does it affect the mileage?
The automatic variant actually gives a better mileage of 18.76 kilometers per liter.
So, what in metaverse it has done is basically understand your voice commands and converse and work with you the way you are looking forward to, and then have more engagement through your conversation is something which is being built. And going forward, as I said, this will develop into a full platform where as a customer, without moving into the dealership and you can just converse and buy yourself and know about the product is something we are working on. I think that's the current state. So we started Nexaverse with all the Nexa vehicles now. Today we have ArenaVerse also with all the Arena products also on that, so that we give a whole 360 experience to our customers.
But a quick question, have you actually seen, since we're talking about enhanced customer experience, has this enhanced customer experience, have you analyzed, has the customer experience actually been, have you analyzed that part of it? And has it translated into more sales or more engagement, something, what are the metrics?
Okay, Leslie, the current status is that all our dealership has that there in the dealership. And right now, I'll say it's wow factor. But going forward, I think, as you said, with the challenges going out with the cost and infrastructure and environment coming out to that, this will become a way of life going forward. Frankly, that's what we look at that. But till now, it's right now very humble beginning, and maybe going forward, adoption and all will take it to next level. Frankly,
fair enough. So basically, it's a channel we can't ignore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think because I was looking at some of the statistics which I was sharing with you all also, that I think McKinsey is saying that it's by 2030, the metaverse will become a $5 trillion kind of universe out there. And that basically is going to make CEOs very difficult to ignore. It's a very big number out there. Rucha, in your case, you're not only auto, you're a conglomerate. The Mahindra Group has many other aspects to it. So you have realty, you have auto, you have so many other things. So you have a much larger play as far as the metaverse is. Take us through, please.
Yes, I completely agree. By the way, we also launched, I have to talk about auto, I'm sorry, Rajesh. We also launched our first, not first, I think somebody had said Reva was the first one, then it became Mahindra. Reva was bought by Mahindra, so we had an EV much before the right time. But just now we launched XUV 400 in metaverse. If we get a chance, we'll show you the video of that as well. But absolutely, I think this has been a progression of digital customer experience, I believe. I think 10 years ago, probably we were not thinking that we would go and buy a car without looking at it, without doing a test drive or something like that. Similarly, we can't envision this buying a flat without actually going there, seeing what is on the east, what the sun will look like at 4 o'clock, how will it look at 8th floor versus 30th floor, and so on and so forth. All this information, while it may be available in text and pictures, an immersive experience, right? There are various type of people, and you can probably think about yourself. There are some people who'll read really well and absorb information. There'll be some who listen, you're an audiobook fan and you'll know you're an auditory person. Maybe you're a visual person, you respond to picture. And then there are cognitive people. Most people respond to cognitive information much, much better. And that this is where metaverse is just taking it not just 1 or 2 steps ahead, right? It's leaping into a next level. So in my experience, this is natural progression that is happening, and it is taking it to a whole another level. We sold, all our flats of one other real estate project during COVID, all online. It got sold right away. 1 lakh vehicles sold in 30 minutes. Now there is no way people went and test drove that, right? That's impossible. So we are already very receptive to this media. And metaverse is putting it on a whole another level, right? This interaction at dealership, interaction with a real estate agent, you can ask questions. I actually attended a metaverse assembly in Dubai. Dubai is nothing if it's not real estate business, right? It's just thriving on it. They are so gung-ho on launching everything in metaverse, all reality, because they have so much investment that comes from outside of Dubai. And all these people don't have to fly in, they don't have to see the flat, they don't have to walk around, and you really can have this immersive experience of what will my furniture possibly look like, right? That's also coming. Move around the furniture, what will it look like? What will my flat look like at 4 o'clock, and so on and so forth. Similarly, holidays, resorts, what kind of experiences are possible when you go there? You have a lot better understanding of it if you are able to give this to the customer. So I think the possibilities are endless. Possibilities are endless. We have to get on to, we'll come to the challenges, but we have to understand how the rest of the parameters are going to come up. I agree with Rajesh completely. It's in a wow factor phase right now. It's in a wow factor phase right now. How does it become an accepted thing like a cell phone and everything digital that I do every day is something to see still.
You want to run the video?
Sure, we can play it for a minute if we have time. You can kind of play it for a minute and then stop it. It's a little longer. But this is when we launched our vehicle in Metaverse. And it was interactive. Of course, you see a video here. It was an interactive launch at the dealership. We call it Dealerverse.
It was a short and sweet video. Okay, great. So I think we had both end users, the consumers, the users of the technology who are actually using it and showcasing how exactly the kind of, at this point in time, as they put it, there's the wow factor. Now, I'm sure, Vishal, that you will be saying that there's much more to the wow factor. Because when we talk about these technologies today, we're not only talking about AR, VR, we're talking about mixed reality, we're talking about extended reality, spatial computing, all these kind of technologies are coming in together. One is, you can give us a slight little perspective on how they marry and whether these kind of experiences that we're seeing, like say if in the real world, if I were to step into a car or ride a mobile or something, I would get a real world experience. How, from a technology perspective, how this is being made possible out here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, thank you, folks, for making my life so much easier in terms of showing some of the validation and use cases. So, at Lenovo, we strongly feel that the metaverse, at a very high level, it's the internet in 3D, right? We've been living in a 2D world for way too long, restricted by rectangular screens. And now, with AR, VR devices, with 5G technology, low latency AI, and finally, we're able to get the internet into a 3D format, into a more spatial format where we can be more immersive. And as you said, we are generally cognitive people. We live our life in 3D all the time, but we are artificially restricted by 2D right now. So we feel metaverse is going to be around digital 3D content, around the distribution of that content, and the consumption of that content. And this is where Lenovo, being a pocket to cloud player, when it comes to compute data that you require to run things like Adobe, to things runs like the Unity engine, as a CIO, you're going to have to invest in a lot of computing power going forward to play in the metaverse. Same thing with the 3D content. It's going to have to start living on the edge. More and more of the data is going to be processed on the edge, and the AI inference is going to happen on the edge. So this is where we were working with the likes of Qualcomm on edge servers and what is known as distributed computing. So that's a real challenge that we're trying to solve today to make these devices smaller. And then finally, it's the user experiences, right? Most of the time, for a great experience, you're going to want to be in a 3D environment. Not all the time, but that's the ideal environment. The metaverse doesn't have to be in 3D, but a lot of the computing is going to be in the spatial space. So we think these are the three key areas. The big areas at the end of the day, and Rajesh and I were talking about it, it's going to come down to the use cases and the intuitiveness of the applications, right? So this is where at Lenovo, that's why we believe in an open source, open XR ecosystem. We strongly feel that just like the 2D community, internet community fell into 2 or 3 silos and 2 or 3 major platform players, we feel that the promise of the metaverse will only be realized if it's an interoperable system and it's a system that people can share in terms of value creation, right? So we are working very heavily with the Indian startup ecosystem now to kind of create these applications. And I strongly believe that the next unicorn or even the next decacorn in the metaverse is going to come from our Indian ecosystem. So
I hope the VCs are listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are seeing amazing applications because at the end of the day, what Lenovo does is provide the right application, the right platform, but it's the ISVs and the end users who create the solutions, the end-to-end solutions. So with that, I'm pretty excited that for the first time we're going to be launching a Think Reality product in India this summer. It's our first Think Reality product, specifically designed for the Indian market along with the Indian ecosystem. So really excited about this. And if we have maybe a minute, we can roll tape on what it looks like.
Ready or not, the metaverse is coming. A digital layer on our physical world.
But what does that even mean? You've got real work to get done and people to connect. We get it. That's why for us, the metaverse is not a game, which is why we created the Lenovo Think Reality VRX, your gateway to the enterprise metaverse. So you can train your team, letting them get hands-on, literally, gaining real experience for lasting results. Bring your hybrid workforces together to keep them collaborating and creativity flowing. Engineer that next big thing, or learn in safe, repeatable, and exciting new ways. Whatever your business, the Think Reality VRX was built with you in mind. Privacy, security, supports, yeah, those are our top priorities too. But you need to think ahead, which means advanced optics and color mixed reality pass-through, so the real world can meet the virtual one. And versatility, giving you control over how your experiences get powered and how they're developed. All backed by Lenovo, a true enterprise partner ready to support your needs and scale your solution into the metaverse. The Lenovo Think Reality VRX. You don't play games with your business. Neither do we.
So you don't play games with your business, and neither do we. So the thing about Lenovo is that our DNA is in the enterprise, and our devices are designed bottom up for the enterprise. They're not into social media. They don't collect your data. They're all about privacy and security, and that's why enterprises trust us in the metaverse.
Thanks, Vishal. I'll be coming back to you because basically we are also going to talk about, getting rid of those cumbersome kind of headsets. Is that going to happen? But that will be more in the challenges space of it. But now, my question to you, Rajan, is that when we talk about the metaverse, of course, I think we cannot have a real meaningful chat without talking about the ecosystem. One part of it, which Vishal has already spoken about. The second part is from players like Qualcomm, more from the chipsets part of view, from 5G, from enhancing that entire ecosystem, reducing latency for those kind of meaningful and intense, immersive metaverse experiences in the enterprise especially. I mean, consumer may not be, for gaming, yes, but also in the enterprise. You could shed some light on that, please.
I think what Vishal talked about, that this is all about 3D, or moving ourselves. Our life historically is what we experience today is on the 2D plane, right? You move to a spatial thinking, you move everything to the digital avatar. It's a few hundred times more complex in terms of the rendering or the graphics, in terms of the data that it can guzzle or consume. And when it all comes up and it all sums up, there are multiple aspects which need to be taken care of to deliver that on a technology front. And here comes the sort of the technology that gets developed in the background. We have to handle this huge pipe of data at a very low latency, and there is where the 5G connectivity, which offers low latency, offers that sort of a platform. But having said that, even before 5G, even if you minus out the connectivity part, independent of that, metaverse, it demands a lot of attention and technology to deliver the type of experiences that have to be delivered. And this is independent of connectivity, I would say so. Because you can always tether, you can have a headset and you can use your existing phone. You can use your Wi-Fi connectivity in the home also. You can do that. At Qualcomm, what we have done is we designed the basic processor. Now we are known more for the phone processors, but we have been there for quite some years. It's almost 10 years since we have done it. And it sounds funny when people say that VR, AR, are we there? It was in 2015 when we launched our first VR reference platform. So it has been quite some time. It's an investment each one of us on this dais and everybody in the ecosystem is making for many years. And just as a reference point of where we are, since where we started, the last year, around 10 million units were sold, about mix up all the AR, VR, everything. It's not a small number, right? At the same time, when you compare the smartphone market, it's a 1.5 billion market, right? So I think the technology is coming up. A lot of use cases also we see getting implemented, right? Enterprise being the first one, which you're saying, of course, there's a consumer use cases too. So, and commercially, we have seen a lot of deployment of this in the market. And as you heard two of them talking about it, globally, a lot of companies are using it primarily for training. So I think a lot of feedback will come back from the market. This is an evolving technology. So I would say we shouldn't judge too early about it. Give it the time. We gave a lot of time to the smartphone. What you have today wasn't the same 15, 20 years back. And I think we all are working to make that same sort of magic happen.
So now we have seen clearly that there are so many opportunities. The metaverse is maturing over the last few years, and I think we are addressing issues like latency, etc. But when we come to the challenges part of it, I mean, of course, the technical challenges will be addressed more by Vishal and Rajan. But from a user point of view, I think from a business point of view, there are certain costs. Like one thing that most people will ask, in a sense, if I were to implement a metaverse kind of concept, you did say that this is an added channel, perhaps. A lot of from a customer experience point of view, it enhances the customer experience. But I think at the end of the day, the board will ask, okay, where's the money out there? Because you have to buy those spaces, etc. How do you justify that?
Okay, Leslie, see, this is true for any new technology you adopt in the organization. So it's nothing new, topic which as a technology leader you are discussing with. So the whole process is start small and keep growing with the business is the way to go this and all. So I don't find that as a issue. And if you as an organization are always focused on technology adoption in a faster pace, this will naturally come to your working and organizing. But I think associated with any new technology will always be the people who can develop it for you and the teams required and all. Ecosystem maturity to deliver along with you and all are but more challenges today than the really business case to do that and all. For any new technology, this is to be, is one of the one to do that and all. And for us, when we talked about the technology and ecosystem to work on or a people to work on, I think since we run a new program which Maruti Suzuki Mail, which is a startup incubation system we have, I think we could get good partners from startup, young entrepreneur to work with us and develop this in a shortest possible time. I think this is something which is very phenomenal example of that and all. I think they could do it in few weeks, this kind of development and work with us. I think that's the phenomenal build which we could do that. Not too much of a cost as compared to the traditional way of working, but I think very fast-paced working with the startup which work with us. I think it will be one example of that to work on. Just to put a point, I think I was saying use cases earlier, I forgot about that. I think customer experience is one use case we talked about, learning and development. And third important use case is the shop floor visualization through IoTs and all. We have so much of big plants to work on, visualizing that, but the performance, the whole ecosystem of manufacturing. I think that's again is the third big use case we are working on this program. Sorry.
Great. Rucha, I think as Rajesh has rightly pointed out, perhaps companies are already convinced that this is a good technology, it's a promising technology. And as with every other technology, people run proofs of concept and then as it matures, they get it. That's a known thing. What has been your experience? How are you selling this concept down the line? And what are the kind of promises that you're seeing?
So I think some of the use cases you described, I think one more I want to add that we find it very exciting is collaboration on design of products. I think that's where immersive experience of, the engine of a tractor or the building process. I think, we have a design center in UK, we have a design center here, and the engineers and the designers being able to do that, I think is very exciting. Training, of course, I think training has been, that is also again progressive, right? Used to read it, see the pictures. Now AR, VR makes it much better to explain what is going on. I think safety comes into picture a lot better in this way. The promises is absolutely, enterprise, inside the enterprise as well as on customer side as well. Yes, I completely agree with Rajesh, right? It's about experimentation. I don't believe any company can stay away from technology today. The most conventional of businesses have to become technology businesses today. You are leading technology first. The digital growth, businesses, parallel business will be set up. Finance is one of the other ones that we have. Digital finance is a whole another business that is coming up so fast. And one of the promises, I believe, is that it'll help you reach the rural part with 5G coming into picture, with better customer experiences, with better cognitive experiences that you can provide the customer. I do believe that we have to lower the entry point. This device has to become something that tags onto my phone, and it is very, very inexpensive. That is for sure. So I don't think metaverse is a technology that is moving every year or something. It is moving every day, every week, every month, And the ecosystem, the partnerships of startups and so on, right? We very actively do this. And sometimes these technology partners come up that they're not just relevant for one business, they're relevant for all of our businesses. And that's how the partnerships will move forward. I just want to talk one quick thing more about challenges, right? Inclusiveness, lowering the bar to get into this is extremely important. And customer experience through metaverse is one thing. Pure metaverse, like somebody who's really metaverse, enthusiast will say, this is not metaverse. This is Decentraland. Now that is metaverse, right? The inclusion, the safety, identity, all these issues that we see today. I think the panel just before was was about that, right? These are very real and have to be solved. We have to make sure we don't carry our biases into our digital world as well. Because they are so, because they are so becoming our, self. And myself that I want to be, possibly, right? Not necessarily what I am today or what I have to put a facade, possibly, but whatever I want to be. So we really have to safeguard this environment. I think that's a, apart from interoperability and cost of content generation, I think this is also a very real thing.
So, Vishal, I think you have your work cut out to address these challenges. I think especially on the inclusivity part of it, the interoperability and the cost of devices.
I strongly feel that for the metaverse to be successful, we have to address those issues and address them now. And that's what we are doing.
But if you can give us some examples of what's being done currently, because I know that you have Project Kronos, for instance, making it device independent. So then you have some those kind of...
Yeah, so at Lenovo, we are strongly backing the Snapdragon OpenXR ecosystem, which is based on the OpenXR standard. We support full Google applications, so anything, a device that's built for a low-tier device will actually work on these devices. So it's very important to have the right application ecosystem and that not be exclusive to the high-end phones, right? So we're trying to make sure that even at the lowest level, we can have these applications. And then the device price has to come down, right? If it has to be inclusive. And that's going to take its own arc, just like the smartphones, like an Apple iPhone was probably $1,500 when it was launched, but it's come down significantly in price, right? So we're working with partners like Qualcomm, optic vendors to bring that price point down. But I think, speaking of inclusion, to me, I think PCs help reduce the digital divide. I feel the metaverse can eliminate the digital divide, right? Because now you can have a poor kid in Africa experience the pyramids in Egypt and learn about them as well as someone in a developed country, right? So this is, to me, is a great equalizer that the metaverse can deliver.
Rajan, your quick thoughts on the challenges before we wind up?
Could you repeat that, please?
Your quick thoughts on the challenges?
Okay, so challenges, I honestly, it's the expectation that cost is down is human nature. Irrespective of what point we talk about it, if we ask today, we'll say, okay, the phones have to be still cheaper, right? We talked about it. I think, imagine this, this potentially, the device which Vishal was having in his hand, is potentially the device which may essentially replace the smartphone. You are actually redefining an entire experience that has lived with us for 30, 40 years is going to get replaced by something which is going to be like that. Whether it is in the form of the AR glasses or some glasses, a simple form factor, that eventually is going to go there. Every technology has that curve where the price goes down. And every point of time, at any intersection you ask about the technology, it will always look to be a little bit more expensive than what a consumer wants. And that's exactly what drives us, companies like Lenovo and us together, to say how do we make it more affordable, and that's what we'll work on.
So friends, clearly as you see from this conversation, the metaverse is not dying in no way. In fact, it is thriving, and especially it's not only in the consumer space, but also in the enterprise space. A lot is happening. Of course, they're also working on challenges, and there's a whole partner ecosystem being built with startups, etc. And a lot of these challenges that are there currently are being addressed at this point in time, even as we speak. So let's please give a big hand to the panelists who have been, and to yourselves also for being a very engaging audience. Thank you.
Thank you.